Packet Tracer Activity 2.7.6 Implement Basic Connectivity. So in this exercise, we're going to set up the switches so that they can communicate amongst each other and allow PC1 and PC2 to connect to each other. We're also going to set it up so that we can configure or have access to the switch. In this activity, we're going to configure the equipment so that PC1 and PC2 can communicate with each other across the switches. We're also going to set up a management interface so that we can connect to switch 1 and PC1 through a network connection rather than a console cable. We'll be using the information in the addressing table here in order to configure the devices. So we're going to start with switch 1. So first we'll go to switch 1. We're going to go ahead and use the command line that's a part of switch 1 to begin. So we first need to set this up with a host name. So we need to be in a privileged mode to do this. So we're going to enter into the privileged mode, and then we need to be in the configuration mode. In this particular case, I'm going to use a shortened command here. I'm just going to say config T, because T is the only configuration command. That terminal is the only configuration command that starts with a T. So here we want to set the name. So we'll use the host name command, and we're going to configure this as S1 as the name. Next, we're going to go to the console line, and we're going to configure it with a password. So we need to go to line console 0. We need to give it a password, and the name will be Cisco. And then we need to exit from here to get back to the main command line, because we want to enable a password. So we'll do enable password, and it wants us to use the word class for this. So we'll exit out of here. Now we can verify this by doing a show running config. So I'm going to do a show running -config, and we'll notice that the enable command has a password now, and if we move down the bottom, we should see that the console has a password as well. Well, next add a banner here, so I need to get back to the configuration level, so I'll do banner, month of the day, our delimiter, and I'm just going to put authorized access only. Press enter, and now our banner is set up. And the last thing we want to do is save the configurations to NVRAM. We don't need to be in the configuration level to do this, so let's go ahead and exit out of this. And so we're going to start, and we're going to copy the running -config file to the start of -config file. Alright, so now we're done with switch 1. I'm going to have you go ahead and set up switch 2 on your own, and I'll be back when I'm done myself. Okay, let's go ahead and configure the PCs. So we'll start here with PC1. I'm going to click on this, and then I'm going to click on the desktop tab. Then I'm going to click IP configuration. So this allows us to set up the IP addressing for this. We're going to need the table for us to do this. So PC1, we're going to set this up with a static IP address of 192.168.1.253 with a subnet mask 255.255.255.0. Notice that Packet Tracer pre-entered that as soon as I clicked into this, and it was because it made a guess as to the proper subnet mask based upon the IP address that I put in here. So I'm going to go ahead and close this and go to PC2, and I'll enter its appropriate information. So 192.168.1.254 with its appropriate subnet mask. Now let's check that the PCs can communicate with one another. So we're going to use a command called ping. So I'm going to go to PC1, and I'm going to use the command prompt to run this command. And the command is ping. We need to know the address of the other device. In this case, it's 192.168.1.254. Now, when I press this, I should get a reply from the other end, which I did, so the connectivity is working correctly. Next, we'll set up the management interfaces on the switches. So let's go ahead to switch 1, and we're going to give switch 1 an IP address. So let's go ahead and go to the configuration level, and we're going to go ahead and move to the interface. So the interface, as I told you, are the ports that the networking cables can connect into here. There's actually a non-physical interface we can use, and it's called a VLAN. And that's what's going to be used for our interface in this case, because we're not going to actually use the interface that the PC uses to connect to the switch for this. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to type the command interface VLAN 1. And there are multiple VLANs that can be used. We're going to use number 1 in this case. Then we're going to type IP address. So IP, Internet Protocol, space, and the address we want to use, space, and then the IP address, and then a subnet mask. Okay. And you press enter, and it doesn't give you any response, but in this particular case, it did enter that into the configuration. Now we're also going to enter another command, and this is to ensure that the port is active. So ports are inactive typically when they're first set up, so we have to tell them to turn them on. Now to do this, it's somewhat counterintuitive. So if you want to turn it on, you have to type no and then shut down. Basically what you're saying is, do not shut down the port. So if we were to type shut down, it would shut down the port. We negate that by starting it with the word no. Okay, so in this particular case, it should have come up. We have a duplicate IP address here, so this is an interesting problem. So it looks like I've created an error. So the error is that I used the wrong IP addresses when I configured PC1 and PC2. So let me go ahead and fix that. So I'm going to go back to PC1, IP configuration. Let's look at the appropriate ones here. So switch 1 was supposed to be this, but PC1 was supposed to be 1.1. So let's fix that. And then PC2 was supposed to be -2. Okay, so that will fix our problem that we had with the switch. So let me go back to that section. We'll continue on. So I need to do the same thing. I need to configure switch 2. So let's go ahead and open that up. Let's go to the, oops, I'm on the PC, so let's go to the switch. So I need to configure its interface. So I need to go to the enable config T, enter the interface I want to use. It'll be the same, VLAN 1. Then type in the IP address, 1 dot. In this case, I believe it's 254. It is. 4, and then the subnet mask. And then we'll do a no shutdown. And you notice we did not get the error this time. Alright, so the next thing we need to do is verify that this is working. So I'm going to go to switch 1, and I'm going to run a command. Let me get out of the configuration level, and it'll be show IP interface brief. And I spelled it wrong just because I'm still in the configuration mode. It's not accepting it. I'll try it again. So I should be able to find this. Here it is. Here's the interface, VLAN 1. It is up. It is running. So that one is correct. If I do the same thing on PC2, switch 2. Let me exit here out of this. And we go show interface. Okay, what did I do? Show interface brief. Oh. Show IP interface brief. Same thing, we should have this up and running. We're going to go ahead and save the configurations back to NVRAM because we've made some changes here. So we'll do the copy, running config to startup config. And yes, and let's go ahead and do the same on switch 2. Copy, running config, startup config. Alright, so last thing we want to do is we want to check to make sure the management interfaces are actually working. So I'm going to click on PC1, go to our command prompt, and I'm going to start ensuring that things are working. So I'll go ahead and I'm going to ping PC2 first. So that was 192.168.1.2. We go back to the top here. I'm going to try the management interfaces as well. So I'll ping 192.168.1.253. So we have an issue here. So this is a good troubleshooting thing. So let's go ahead and see what we did wrong. Oh, look, nothing's wrong. Sometimes it's going to take a little bit of time to get a reply, and this is due to some other information that we'll be learning later in the course. First time that a PC looks, it may not get a reply because there's some other things going on behind the scenes. So let's go ahead and do this again with switch 2. So let's ping 192.168.1.254. And we should have the same issue happen. It's going to kind of stop here and think for a while. And then we get the reply. Alright, so we have verified that our settings are correct. So this will end this video.